Is it beginning to look a lot like WeWork to everybody out there? This is really starting to remind me of WeWork. Remember back in 2015 when I put my complaints online about the WeWork business model? Remember in 2015 where I was actually a member of WeWork for just a short amount of time and said, this doesn't make sense. This does not seem like it should be worth $45 billion. And everybody screamed with one voice, "Shut up, you ass idiots." I remember those days. I remember those days. And I'm starting to get that feeling right now as far as OpenAI is concerned. Now to be clear, I think the whole AI thing is a fraud on the face of it. I think it's a Ponzi scheme on the face of it. But I do honestly feel that OpenAI is the worst of the offenders. Right? It feels like when you listen to Dario and he talks about Anthropic, now again, it's a bunch of crap. A lot of it is a bunch of crap, right? This whole idea that it's going to cure disease or solve science or whatever else. But the interesting thing is when you hear about Dario, he actually looks at the cost of resources, right? Dwarkish. Anyways, there's this one guy, he's got the beard. Oh, I'm jealous of that beard. The man with the beard. He does these interviews with a lot of the AI folks. He was on there and he was talking about it, and it was very curious. Again, he was talking about that whole idea of how do you provision for the cost of resources, right? If he over allocates before it's the right time, he can go bankrupt. If he under allocates before it's the right time, or when it's the right time, he might be out competed. And one of the interesting things with listening to Dario is like, oh, this guy actually looks at the price of hardware. The curious thing is when you listen to Sam Altman, yeah, that boy don't care. That boy don't care. Again, I talked about it before. I read the book on OpenAI, and OpenAI, right, their intent, their belief, literally is more hardware, more AI. That's how they're going for it. So anyways, the big issue that we're dealing with right now is that the valuations for these AI companies have just gotten absolutely insane. Again, OpenAI is now $855 billion valuation. They want $1 trillion IPO. Again, Anthropic now. Anthropic. Again, one of the things I did appreciate about Anthropic is, I mean, their numbers were stupid, their valuations were stupid, but at least, they were a fraction of how stupid OpenAI's is. Holy crap. No, actually, they are now going to get a new valuation on like $50 billion more funding. And it looks like they're going to be valued at $900 billion. And the problem is, right, this is all before the IPO. So again, with investors want to buy low, sell high. So if they buy, during the IPO, if they buy at $1 trillion, they don't want it to go to 1.1 or $1.2 trillion. They want it to go to 2, 3, 4, 5, $10 trillion. Right? And it just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense. And so the curious thing, as I've been talking about for a while, is we are starting to see the wheels come off the train, right? One of the things I've talked about before is the whole thing where all of the companies were playing nice with each other. Again, being in the tech world for 30 years, one of the things that I appreciated about my industry is that we're all just a bunch of catty little bitches, right? Basically, we go after anybody for any fucking reason. Like some of you folks are like, Eli, why the hell are you kicking the hell out of that particular person? It's like, because they were there and my foot was within range. I don't understand the question, right? That's what we do, right? And the weird thing was, right, you go back a couple of years ago with AI, everybody was playing nice. OpenAI was playing nice with Anthropic, playing nice with NVIDIA and Mistral. And again, I was like, this is weird. It's like imagine if you went to a dinner party of homicidal maniacs and they all had their little pinky fingers up as they were sipping tea. You're like, oh God, I'm scared. Oh God, I know they're all homicidal maniacs. Why are they just here doing small talk and sipping tea? Mommy, how bad is this gonna go, right? And so again, that's how it was. And the reason it was that way is because everybody was flush with money and they were scared shitless. Somebody would bring up the fact that this entire thing is stupid. The one thing you can't do with a Ponzi scheme is make the investors start wondering whether any of this actually makes sense. Well, the thing is, the money has been drying up. And so one of the curious things that we've seen lately is the cattiness has come out, right? All of a sudden, right? Anthropic is going after Sam Altman, or OpenAI. Sam Altman is going after Dario. Claws are coming out because they can no longer afford to be nice. It's more important to get that investor money, all right? And so we're just starting to see this. Again, we saw this with the business model. The OpenAI CFO came out a couple of months ago, and they were asking about, their business prospects. And she was like, yeah, well, it's like a spinning Rubik's Cube of business possibilities. And you're like, girlfriend, seriously, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't, that's not EBITDA. That's not EBITDA. That's not ARR. That's not like monthly, active users. Like that just doesn't even mean anything, right? Like when Twitter was coming up with their weird ass metrics a few years ago, look, they were weird ass metrics. I have no idea why anybody thought they were valuable metrics. But they were numbers. Monthly active users it's something you can track. What's the value of it? Who knows? But it is something. You can't track a spinning Rubik's Cube of possibilities. Plug that into your QuickBooks and see what the hell happens. Anyways, so what's interesting now is it looks like the CFO wants to delay the IPO, OpenAI's IPO until 2027, which probably means they have a lot of problems. They know how bad their numbers are. Remember, I was a complete and utter moron up until the day WeWork had to submit their filings to the SEC, and then everybody got to see how dumb their numbers are, and that's one of the big concerns here for these AI companies, right? One of the reasons they're able to keep this fraud going because they don't really have to be honest to anybody, right? As a private company, they only have to disclose to even their investors what their investors demand. There's a lot of stuff that they can obfuscate even to their investors. And then publicly, they don't have to say shit. It's a private company. Fuck off. You don't need to know what our QuickBooks looks like, right? Our financials look like. So the thing that's going to happen is these AI companies are going to have to submit all of their documentation, all their filings and all that to the SEC. And that is the come to spaghetti monster moment where investors actually get to see what these numbers look like. Spoiler alert, it's gonna be ugly. And so it looks like the CFO right now is starting to grasp how ugly this might be. And so, hey, maybe postponing the IPO by another year, they'll be able to figure something out. I don't think so. Again, trying to go for a $1 trillion valuation, if they're going for a $100 billion valuation, fine. Maybe a $300 billion valuation, still, I think it's stupid, but maybe. But man, you're trying to make your numbers look good enough for a $1 trillion valuation? According to comments apparently delivered anonymously to the Wall Street Journal, OpenAI's relentless push towards a 2026 IPO may not be so relentless after all. OpenAI is being advised, it seems, to relent until next year. A journal report earlier this week said OpenAI, which is private and doesn't have to report revenue publicly. Again, this is the important thing. Up until they file with the SEC, we don't really know what their numbers look like. Had missed its recent revenue targets. We talked about that before. In their new profile over at OpenAI, Chief Financial Officer Sarah Fryer, Jen, and whatever, write that Fryer has, quote, taken a closer look at OpenAI's spending commitments and has privately suggested waiting till in 2027 for an IPO, cautioning that the company isn't yet ready to meet the rigorous reporting standards required of public companies. And again, one of the things to be thinking about this with these standards, so these standards are real. There's actually a lot of arguments against these standards. That's a whole series of videos, right? Basically, after the financial crisis happened, the idea was that there wasn't enough documentation for publicly traded companies. Therefore, they needed to improve documentation for publicly traded companies. That created a lot of new requirements. Actually, interestingly enough, that is one of the reasons people say that companies are staying private for so long, that the process for releasing all this documentation is so difficult, so time-consuming, and so expensive. It's simply not worth it anymore. So there is a real argument that everything that they have is so confusing, right? That basically trying to fill out the SEC paperwork to make everything legitimate would just be too difficult, right? That is a possible legitimate argument. Or it might mean that their numbers are so ugly. They don't really have a problem documenting their ugly numbers, but they don't want their ugly numbers seen by the public. That is what I would put my $5 on. The company she joined is one under extreme pressure to become nothing less than a world-leading colossus that remakes technology in the global economy to fit its vision. Confidence in its ability to realize that vision is currently shakier than it has been since it rose to fame in the wake of the release of ChatGPT. Yes, because there are more competitors than ever, the value of the product is going down, there's a questionable utility of the product, blase, blase, blase. According to the journal's new report, banks have been overtly telling OpenAI and Anthropic point blank that they're in a winner-take-all race to IPO glory. As the journal writes, they've said, quote, whoever makes it to market first will get to define the new industry. Right? I think this is one of the lies, one of the big lies in the modern world of startups and tech businesses, right? The whole first mover advantage. First mover monopolizes the market. And as we've seen over the years, it's literally just not the case, right? Google was not the first search engine. Facebook was not the first social media site. iPhone, don't listen to social media, was not the first smartphone. Lordy, BlackBerry has been around for a decade before the iPhone came out. But anyways, right, there's this big push like, okay, you've got to basically own the market first, and then you get to control it. Again, I think this is a bad concept. I do not believe that's how the technology world actually works. Again, having looked at this over many, many years, but it's interesting that the bankers are pushing for this. Now, again, remember, in any business transaction, you've got a whole bunch of different vested interests. Remember, the bankers get paid a commission and other fees based off of these IPOs. If the economy is going to go to hell, which it probably is, they probably want to push this crap forward so that they can get their fees. You would rather be retired on a beach somewhere when the economy goes boom than be slogging through trying to make a company go public at that point in time. So they're probably trying to push this up so that they get their fees. But it is kind of interesting, right? You got the bankers and all that pushing for the IPOs as the CFO actually looks at what's going on and says, well, this might not be a good idea. But the same journal report says that, quote, in recent months, Fryer has reportedly started to express worry and has sought to bridle OpenAI's outflow of cash on data centers in the absence of higher revenue. Or she has apparently suggested the company may need to put the brakes on its IPO, even as CEO Sam Altman slams on the accelerator. And this can be an interesting thing in the executive world. You have one executive who's trying to put the brakes on. You have the other executive trying to put the accelerator on. Fun. The journal heard back from an OpenAI spokesman, apparently, who claimed that OpenAI has actually hit its revenue goals for the first quarter of the year and that it has goals known only internally. These goals, a spokesperson apparently said, are different from those the company's investors know about. Again, and as we start to see flags, so we talked about this before, I think it was last week or whatever, Wall Street Journal came out and said OpenAI is not hitting their growth and revenue numbers. A whole bunch of tech companies took about a 5% haircut because of that. Because AI might not be as valuable as we're told it is. Anyways, what's interesting about this, is now OpenAI is coming out and saying, no, we hit our numbers. They're just numbers you don't know exist. Not only are they numbers you don't know exist, our investors don't know those numbers. No, this doesn't taste like fish. No, it's peanut butter. It's not fish. So basically what they're saying is when it comes out to the world that they missed their numbers, they say those aren't the numbers that matter. We're hitting the numbers that do matter, but you don't know what those numbers are. And again, to be clear, what's interesting here, not only do you not know what those numbers are, because again, they're a private company, whatever else, but our own investors don't know the numbers that we're tracking our progress on. Yeah, how does that sound to you? So anyways, there we go. That's about the end of the article. And that kind of shows you the disaster that we're heading for with OpenAI and then the rest of this AI idiocy. The numbers don't make sense. Look, I love embeddings. I'm about to do a project this week using vector embeddings. I love vector databases. I'm a fan of vector databases. I'm a fan of so much of the technology behind artificial intelligence. The problem is, it's just not worth this much money, right? They are giving away 90% of their services for free and claiming that as growth. Again, one of the interesting things coming out now, again, because they're trying to, my God, they're trying to spit polish this piece of crap, right? And anyways, one of the things we hear in the AI world right now, and you'll hear this in a lot of news, the news cycles, is that there's not enough compute resources. There's not enough power for the AI demand. The real restrictions, the real things that are keeping these AI companies back is that they don't have enough resources to be able to deal with all the demand that they're giving. Right? So look, Eli, look, you're an idiot. Look, they literally, they're being constrained by hardware resources. Obviously, they're doing well. But again, the point that I want to put on the table with this is 90% of their demand, from what I can tell, is from free users. Free users. Yes, they're constrained in growth by the demand of their free users. That's not in any other business. Again, if I was selling pizzas, that would not be an argument I would be allowed to use. But for some reason, in the world of AI, that makes complete sense. So anyways, we'll be seeing how this goes. We will track the downfall of OpenAI, and then we'll compare that to the downfall of the other AI companies. Basically, when all of this goes boom, how big is the boom? Is going to be the question mark. And the curious thing here will be, is when do people come to their senses? As I talked about before, again, 10 years ago, if you followed me, I was doing my videos back then. I was talking about WeWork at that point in time. Again, I had a spot on WeWork for a little while. And I just said, look, it was fine. I was like, look, this is fine, but it's not a $45 billion company. Like I never could grasp why. And then literally their SEC filings came out and they tanked within like a week, and they went bankrupt within like a year or two. Like bankrupt. They went from a $45 billion company to bankrupt, just simply by putting out the SEC filings. And that's where, like, I look at this with the OpenAI and everything I'm talking about here. This is all 2+2 stuff. This isn't Batcave rules crap that you don't know about. This isn't some this is just, you just look at it and it doesn't make sense. And again, OpenAI wants to IPO at $1 trillion. Anthropic is going to need to IPO at $1 trillion now if they get that $900 billion valuation. SpaceX wants to IPO at $1.72 trillion. However you feel about this the technology stack, there's just not that much money on the table. So anyways, there you go. What do you think about this? What do you think about the CFO trying to push back OpenAI's IPO? What do you think about the bankers trying to push forward the IPO? And think about this with the executives in the modern world. You have the financial person trying to put the brakes on things. You have the CEO and the bankers trying to accelerate things. How do you think that's going to work out at the end of the day? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Do remember, you can now get my commentary on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. There's a link for those down in the doobly-doo, as they say. And with that, see y'all later.